Alrighty, so today we're going to do the season preview of Nashville SC, and by the way, this is actually the last pre-recorded video that I'm going to make before I go on my 5-day trip to Hawaii. So by the time this video will be uploaded, I will be on the plane back to California and back home, and hopefully I'll have some everlasting memories in these next 5 days, and also getting ready to once again knock down more season preview, and also counting down the season to begin, because the season is about to begin. In just a couple of weeks, we're going to see the first game of the 2023 MLS regular season. But before that, like I said, we're going to talk about Nashville SC today, who is moving back to the Eastern Conference. Now, last season, they finished with a record of 13, 11, and 10 and finished with 50 points in the Western Conference. And this was the team that I did predict to finish first in the Western Conference, mainly because I thought that this team, stellar defense, and also with them being underrated on the attacking end, will get them the top spot in the West. Yeah, that did not happen. And heading into this season, I think there is probably a lot of uncertainty, you got to say, about this Nashville team. Because while this defense is still good, albeit, they did lose a key piece this off-season with Dave Romney, and they replaced with a lesser downgrade of Nick Depew from LA Galaxy. There's definitely that question about the attack, and especially the fact that this attack is basically Hani Mukhtar and Hani Mukhtar only, and that is this going to be enough when they're moving back to the Eastern Conference. And as I mentioned, the East have a lot of good teams this season, and I would say that I think the East might actually be a little bit stronger than the West coming into this season. Now, in the last three seasons, it's been relatively successful for Nashville SC. They have never missed the playoffs in their first three seasons in the league. Last year, they finished fifth with a 13, 11, and 10 record and finished with 50 points, but they did lose to the LA Galaxy in the first round. In 2021, they finished third with a 12, 18, and 4 record and finished with 54 points, but they did lose to the Philadelphia Union in the second round. And then in 2020, in their expansion season, they made the playoffs in 7th place with an 8, and 7 record and finished with 32 points. But they did lose to the Columbus Crew in the second round, but that's already considered to be historic, because we have not seen a team that is able to make it to the playoffs that deep in their expansion season since the Chicago Fire won it all back in 1998. Now, in terms of some of the transfers that they made this offseason, not really a lot of big move. Obviously, one of the more notable name is bringing Fafa Pico to Nashville SC, and I think that's a good signing for Nashville, because you saw during the time with the Houston Dynamo, he definitely add in some dynamic attack to this team. Obviously, no pun intended there, but yeah, this is something that they desperately needed in the wing area. I mean, Jacob Schafferberg kind of provided a little bit of that, but I think Fafa Pico is definitely a good upgrade in terms of Jacob Schafferberg, and he's going to be definitely a guy that I would think that could maybe put a little bit low off of Hani Mukhtar in terms of just carrying this offense this season. As I mentioned, they got Nick Depew from the LA Galaxy. Again, losing Dave Romney, that of course hurt, but replacing him with Nick Depew, I don't know if that's going to be considered to be an upgrade. In fact, I would say that, he's probably not going to be a regular starter. I think it's going to be Jack Mayer that's going to be the regular starter for this Nashville team, and he's going to partner with Walker Zimmerman. We did see a couple times when Mayer and Zimmerman was the center back partnership. They were okay, but yeah, seeing Dave Romney, of course, is going to hurt, as I'll mention a little bit later. But other pieces that they add are more of small pieces that they got from the USL Championship. Guys like Ben Martino, Lawrence Wake, Tyler Freeman, Emilio Perry, and then Joey Skinner that they got from the Super Draft are mostly guys that are just going to be slotted in terms of depth pieces for this Nashville team. Now, in terms of players that they lost, again, the big name is Dave Romney that they lost this offseason. He went to the New England Revolution. They also lost Hawana Bawana again. I can't believe the fact that Bawana a couple of years ago with the Sounders, we thought that he could be a potential superstar in this league, because he has that raw talent to be a decent player, and unfortunately just didn't work out. And now it feels like he's I think now he's joining with Charleston Battery in the USL Championship. They also decided to move on from Robert Castellanos, a Koza Sayone, who actually is going to be going to the Oakland Roots in the USL Championship. So we get a chance to see him play it if I get a chance to go to those Roots game as part of the Sports Hub series. But we also saw them move on from Rodrigo Pinheiro, who I think that he was already loaned out, and it seems like he is actually going to be staying with Chile. So officially he is. He probably is not going to be back with this team. Another player that is also loaned out is Ake Loba. And this one, as much as I think Nashville fans are kind of relieved the fact that they have loaned out Ake Loba, what will frustrate every Nashville fans is the fact that he still carry the DP tag. And again, it's because of this ridiculous rule that it's kind of hard to explain, but it kind of screwed over Nashville a bit, where they didn't meet certain threshold to a way that even if you loan a player, they can still carry a DP tag. I mean, I really hope that MLS eventually get rid of that specific rule, because it's kind of unfair that we've seen before where players loan out and their DP tag is not carried because there was certain things on the contract says that of course there certain amount of contract or salary that the other team that of course loan him can carry, that can basically means that he no longer have to carry the DP spot. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for me to explain. Me just explained it a second ago, maybe have just confused a lot of you. But yeah, very frustrated to see that, while they don't have to worry about Ake Loba and his huge kind of bust kind of label next to his name in terms of one of the worst designated player to play in MLS. Unfortunately, they're still stuck with him in terms of label him as one of the DP, and they don't open a DP spot. They also lost Eric Miller, Brian Meredith, and Will Meyer as some of the depth piece for this Nashville team. Now, in terms of the strength for this team, it's obviously the number 10 and the back line. Again, the number 10, Hani Mukhtar, he is literally the offense of this team. He didn't win MVP last season by accident with the way that he just carried this team on his back. And pretty much, I think, like, literally almost half of the contribution, or even more than half of the contribution, came through Hani Mukhtar, whether by scoring goals or getting assists. And then, of course, the defense, it's always been the strong point of Nashville SC. It's really been the strong point for Garrett Smith team in terms of playing very good defensively, especially putting a low block, and then also counter teams, or also take advantage of set piece opportunity. And then, of course, the weakness of this team is the attack, besides Hani Mukhtar, because again, there's that question of the fact that who exactly is going to carry the low of Hani Mukhtar, which, speaking of which, that actually perfectly transitioned the first big question about this Nashville SC team. I mean, who is going to carry the low of Hani Mukhtar's shoulder on the attack? And as I said, I think it's most likely going to be Fafa Pico, because I really like what he did during his time with the Houston Dynamo, and that, even though he is started to get up there in age, he's still a guy that can be a proven goal scorer in this league. Other than that, you're hoping Randall Leao, who had a rough year last season, can bounce back this year. And then even CJ Sapon, the same thing, that after a rough season that he had last year. And the thing about CJ Sapon is that he's always have been very inconsistent throughout his career. He can have one good season, and then the very next season he just doesn't show up. And that maybe might be the season where he showed up and scored those goals, so that that can lower the shoulder of Hani Mukhtar. Because as much as I know Hani Mukhtar most likely is gonna get a lot of the contribution on the attack, teams are gonna try to double or even triple team him, so that they can limit his stature, and that could be a problem for Nashville if they can. Again, I feel like Nashville's situation is kind of similar a little bit to Minnesota's situation on the attack, where they rely so heavily on their number 10, and that, the top of the Loons relying heavily on Reynoso, and that when Reynoso is not having the game, a really good game, this team pretty much shut down. And I think that maybe is the same case with Nashville and Hani Mukhtar getting shut down, and the rest of the attack doesn't carry the load. So yeah, that's going to be something that they absolutely need to figure out if they want to have another decent season. Because as much as they have a good defense, there's still that question in terms of goal scoring and the attacking creativity, besides Hani Mukhtar. With no DP spot open, will they still go look for a number 9 without going over the max tap threshold. So that can be an interesting thing to see. Where again, I know that's why, you know, they really want that DP tag to remove off of Akeloba. So I mean, if Akeloba doesn't occupy that DP spot anymore, there's no doubt that Nashville would have got a DP number 9 by now. But because they can't get that DP tag off of him, you know, the next best option I would say is that maybe they'll go for a number 9 that just reached that max TAM threshold, which is also the reason why, you know, when you look at how when Inter Miami got Joseph Martinez, this really hurts for Nashville, because, you know, we talk about how Miami was able to sign Joseph Martinez on, I think, a max TAM kind of contract. That could have been Nashville. That could have easily been Nashville. They could have offered for him a max TAM contract, and that can definitely solve some of the issue for this Nashville team. Because imagine you have a good combination with Mukhtar and Martinez up front. Like that would really reminds me of when Almiron and Martinez and those dynamic duo just tear up this Atlanta United team. It would fit perfectly for this Nashville side. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see whether if they can get another player similar to the statue of that. But yeah, that is definitely a position that, again, depending on if CJ Sapon doesn't perform again, they absolutely need a number 9, and it's tough for them to have to get a number 9 without have to go over for the max TAM threshold. I mean, I wouldn't say it's impossible, because we have seen in this league before where teams can make trades to sign a decent striker that doesn't go over the max TAM threshold. So that, again, that's going to be something that Nashville will basically be targeting. And then, of course, the third big question for this team: will this team suffer a bit of a regression now that they're back in the East? Again, the East is much tougher this season. I mean, I said the same thing about the West last year, but I feel like the East is going to be tougher this year. There's a lot of good team in the Eastern Conference this season, probably more than what I've seen in the West this year. And that, yeah, you know, this team has never missed the playoffs, but you kind of sense that maybe this could be the case, especially with the way that last year there was at time that writing was kind of on the wall when things were not going well with this team. And if it wasn't for the late season run that they had, they could have actually missed the playoffs for the first time in their franchise history. So we'll see whether this might be the year. I mean, their defense will need to really carry this team once again, and that we'll see if they can do it. I mean, so far it's been proven that their defense can do so, although last season I feel like their back line definitely regressed a bit, to a point where I think last season that back line was probably performing the worst compared to what we've seen in the first two seasons. So yeah, that's, again, is going to be the key for them to not regress to a point where they might miss the playoffs for the first time in their franchise history. And then, of course, the bonus question for this team: will Hani Mukhtar get 15 plus goal and 15 plus assists? I mean, I know it sounds kind of silly to put those numbers, because I'm pretty sure everybody knows that answer. It's probably yes. I mean, he's going to have another incredible season. He is considered to be the top 5 or even the top 3 number 10 in this league right now. I mean, he is just an absolute stud. He is literally the only reason why Nashville at least sort of have a competent attack for this team. I mean, I can't imagine what this Nashville team would be if they didn't have Hani Mukhtar pulling the string and scoring the goals for this team. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button. As always, if you're a Nashville fan, what do you think is the strength, the weakness, and the free big question facing this team for this upcoming season? Until then, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.